My friends, I just pressed the let's go live button. It's a Monday. Sometimes we get some cobwebs on the interwebs when we take a day or two off, and we're back making sure that they reconnect so that we can communicate without interruption. It looks like we're alive on YouTube. Locals is good. Our friends on Rumble and on Telegram. That's tremendous news. That means we can go ahead and get started. So let's do it, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live, the show that spotlights misconduct involving police, prosecutors, and politicians. My name is Robert Gouveia. I am a criminal defense attorney, and today we're talking about Trump. We got three different cases we're talking about, and we're going to be starting off in New York. Trump was there in person for a hearing, of course, involving Alvin Bragg, Judge Juan Merchan. This is the so-called hush money saga involving Stormy Daniels and this zombie case that will not go away, that's been resurrected after it's been declined by the DOJ and passed through other prosecutors before they made Alvin Bragg bring this thing, because all of the other criminal cases against Trump are not doing so hot. So Trump was there today. We're going to break down what happened because we've got some footage of him walking into court. He had something that he wanted to say, and we'll hear from him briefly when he just pops out and says, "Hey, media, thanks for being here," before he goes inside the courtroom. Then we're going to recreate what happened with the proceeding, because Judge Juan Merchan, or Merchan, or we're going to call him Merchan. That's just going to be how it is. And he was there. Trump's attorneys were there. Alvin Bragg's prosecutors were there. And Inner City Press, who does great reporting there on X at Inner City Press, he was there. He was reporting. And we're going to see what he had to say about it and how things went down, courtesy of him and our X script. Then Trump came out after the proceeding was over. It was done in the morning pretty quickly. And he is explaining how these partisan attacks are backfiring. And I completely agree, which is why we're kind of, indulging in them so much, because they are, I think, obvious partisan political attacks, and he is showing the institutions and these entities for what they are, and we get to see it. So thank you, Trump. But we also got, in our second segment, what happened in New York. We got Tish James over there in New York. She loses. Oh man, she's not happy about this. She came out and had reaction after the Court of Appeals came out and dropped Trump's bond. It was originally about 464 million. You can see that's what it started out as this morning. Tish was like 464, 468, 472 plus interest, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, Tish, wrong. 175 million got cut by 2/3, I think, if that's the math right. And it was reduced by 289 million like that. And that is a bad foreboding for the case, right? It's like, whoa. 2/3 off. Okay, so the rest of the case was 2/3 off, like maybe, right? They're saying, we got to bring this back down to reality land, because we've been living a little bit too deep in Tishyville. And the Court of Appeals came back out. We'll read through the order. It's very short, just about a page and a half. We'll see what is inside. Yeah, it's still ridiculous, 175 million. But it is a reduction. So Trump is going to pay it, he says. Tish came out, and it's not just, by the way, the money. The order also says that a bunch of other stuff is basically held in abeyance. And so we'll read through it. Tish is also responding to this, saying, it doesn't mean anything. He still has to pay the judgment, and we're going to win on appeal, and all the stuff that, the normal Tish says. So we'll go through all of that. Then we'll see what Trump says, because he said, we'll just pay it in cash. All right, look, I was pretty upset about the 460 million. But if it's only 175, $1.75, all right, I guess I'll pay it. So he's going to come up. Apparently, he's going to be cash, or he'll get a secured bond with the cash, and we'll see how that unfolds. But the people on the left were very unhappy about this. We're going to tune in to MSNBC. Very upset. This is a travesty of justice. Donald Trump, there are two tiers. He keeps getting away with it. It's like that Breaking Bad scene. How do you keep getting away with it? And it is because what they're doing to him is illegal, obviously, right? It's ridiculous, all of these political prosecutions. And so they're the ones who are instituting and instigating all of these dual prosecutions, where they are trying to prosecute him in the court of law and then use that prosecution as a cudgel in the court of public opinion. And it's just never ending. But when Trump has a little bit of a speed bump in the way, when Trump wins a tiny little battle, okay, he still has to come out of pocket $175 million. Good Lord. Or, get a bond company and post 10% or 20% or whatever they want of that. So he'll have to figure, it's a lot of money. Like, it's a big deal. But they're going to cry about it. We're going to hear, we got a clip from this guy on MSNBC. And I think some reaction from Lawrence Tribe, Judge Ludwig's BFF. And then we're hopping on a plane down to Fani Land because, man, she came out with a warning. She said, the train is coming. The Fani train has no brakes, and you better get ready for it, America. So she came out. There was a conference or an event, a charitable event is the word I'm thinking of. And she was there apparently volunteering and supporting her community and her constituency. And she says a lot in this segment. So it's about 7-8 minutes. We'll listen to it, see what she says, because she also ultimately comments on this a whole bunch. And she did a second interview where she said, I don't want to talk about it, and then kind of clammed up a bit. But Harrison Floyd had an interesting post on X, and Ashleigh Merchant was over on ABC. And we have a clip of her saying, Fani could put all this to bed if she just steps aside, if she just takes the back seat on this whole thing and let someone else drive the bus that is the prosecution against Trump. But we know Fani is not going anywhere because she is a prosecutor who thinks she's on a mission to save America. Of course, what can you do about that? So we've got 3 good segments to attend to, my friends. I am grateful and glad that you are here and with us. Thank you for joining us. This morning, we had an amazing members-only stream over at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And we stream in the mornings. If you're a Locals members, we do after parties after the show is over. So we'd love to see you over there. If you're a YouTube member, you also join us for the streams in the morning and the streams on Saturday. So we love our members. Thank you for being a member and supporting us. It really keeps this train on the tracks, to use a Fani analogy, I guess, today. And so thanks for being a member. We also have any PDFs, any stuff that we cover here with the red pen goes up on robertgovea.com. And we'd love to have you check that out. Sign up for our daily newsletter over there as well, all free. We post our show reports up, so all of the segments get translated into these little articles that you can read if you don't have time to watch the full thing. That way you can stay apprised of what's happening out there in our little reports. We also have watcherlodge.com. We had a great segment and a great masterclass with Mama G over at watcherlodge.com. We talked about the circles of life. And it was a workshop on meaning and purpose. And so how to develop and live with meaning and purpose. Great tools in there, PDF downloads, all sorts of fun stuff. Check it out, all free, watcherlodge.com. That is our sovereignty and our self-development community that we are working on feverishly. So come check all that out. And thanks for supporting us. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you're on YouTube, if you saw this, we have our shopping tab is now enabled on YouTube. I got an email. Our shopping tab is now enabled. And so if you want to buy a Travis Matthews shirt like this one, like the one I'm wearing right now, check out the shopping tab on YouTube. I don't really know what it does, but apparently you can support the show by clicking the link, grabbing a shirt, grabbing something. It's going to take you back over to Nordstrom's. I was going to say Nord Stream, like the pipeline that got exploded. But we're testing it. I don't really know what it does. But I'm gonna look at it after the show, and you got to look good out there. So check it out. Get some shopping done and support the channel. Anyway, so I'm mentioning that. I don't know what it is, but we're gonna try it out. So I tagged a bunch of shirts, the same shirts literally that I wear. So check it out. All right. All right, yeah. Treat yourself to something nice, my friends. Treat yourself. You work hard. Get yourself something nice from Nordstrom's. All right. So thanks for that, my friends. All right. So let's get down to business and see what the heck is going on out there in New York. Donald Trump appeared in New York, called Alvin Bragg's prosecutions a big mistake, said that they're backfiring big time on not only Alvin Bragg, but on the entire partisan onslaught against Trump. People are seeing them for what they are, partisan hack prosecutors, not people in pursuit of justice. But we've got the Alvin Bragg prosecution. This trial is scheduled now for April 15th. We know that we were scheduled to be in court on today, starting with jury selection. But of course, the U.S. Department of Justice dropped a big wheelbarrow full of discovery right on Alvin Bragg's desk. And he said, oh gosh, what am I going to do with all of this? So they had to agree to a bit of a continuance. The question was, how much of a continuance? How far can they push this thing out? Trump and his team, they were asking for 90 days, so they could kick this into the election. And ultimately, they want to postpone it until after the election because this case is ridiculous. The key star witness is Michael Cohen, a convicted perjurer and somebody who literally is alleged to have committed perjury again in a New York courtroom right next door when they were having him testify in the Tish prosecution. Okay, a federal judge, we covered this case last week, said that. So he's the star witness. The whole thing's rigged. Anyways, we're going to go through and see what happened today because Trump's team is arguing for a much broader continuance. Alvin Bragg and the government are saying no. Let's see what the judge says. Now, Trump showed up there. We got him and the entourage walking in. You see the media is there, and they were covering this all day. He walks in, very short statement from the former president. Clip comes courtesy of C-SPAN.
Are you closing bail today? Are you getting a bond?
Thank you very much, everybody.
Are you getting a bond today?
This is a witch hunt. It's a hoax. Thank you.
Boom. Short and sweet from the president. This is a witch hunt. This is a hoax. And truer words couldn't have been spoken. And so he walks into court. Let's pick it up from there. Let's see what the man himself, Matthew Russell Lee, who is on X at Inner City Press, has to say, reporting on this story. He's there in the courtroom. We encourage you to give him a follow on X and elsewhere. He's got great work that he does. Now, morning is a bunch of hustle and bustle around. People are shuffling papers around, all this stuff. Okay, nobody knows where Trump is. Boom, door pops open. Trump walks in. Oh my gosh, courtroom goes silent. Trump is in the courtroom now at the defense table. He's got a blue suit. Guess what, our friends in the chat? A red tie, which we have an emoji for. Perfect. Still no Judge Juan Merchan, though. Everybody's, hustling around, fiddling on their phones, shuffling court papers. And then all of a sudden, bailiff comes into the courtroom. All rise. Judge Juan Merchan comes in. Everybody stands up. All right, please be seated. All right. Finally, Judge Juan showed up. All right, good to see you, Judge. Clerk comes here, says, all right, everybody. This is the time set for this matter. This is the case of people of the state of New York versus Donald Trump. Parties announced, please. Judge says parties announced. Parties announced. Donald Trump for the defense. Some, hack prosecutor for Alvin Bragg. There. Okay, thank you. Judge Juan Merchan starts the proceedings. He says, all right, let's start by going over the events that bring us here today. Back on March 8th, just 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump filed a motion seeking to move to discovery sanctions. Because remember, Alvin Bragg said, oh no, we got a big fat load of discovery dropped on our desk from the DOJ. The Department of Justice was already investigating Trump for all of this criminality, so-called. They declined to do it. Why? Because Michael Cohen was the key witness. So DOJ, who is not prosecuting this current case, this is brought by a city prosecutor called Alvin at the Manhattan level. The DOJ, the feds, dropped a big dump right on Alvin's desk. And oh gosh. And Trump says, wait a minute, we got trial like in 2 weeks. So they're asking for sanctions for giving all this discovery out, all of a sudden. So Juan, the judge, says, okay, here we go. Move for discovery and for sanctions. And they say, what's the basis for these sanctions? Judge Juan Merchan saying, well, here's what apparently Trump said. Trump is saying that they argued that Alvin, the DA, suppressed evidence. And Trump is alleging prosecutorial misconduct. Judge Mercan's like scoffing at this. As a result of these serious allegations, this court gave Alvin Bragg until March 18th to respond to these allegations from Trump. And on March 14th, Alvin Bragg responded and they consented to an adjournment of 30 days, right? We talked about that. That's when we said Alvin Bragg folded, like, okay. And we were wondering why this was happening. Why did it all of a sudden get postponed? And now he's like agreeing to this, right? Alvin's just like, we're going to trial immediately. Blah. All of a sudden, an adjournment. Okay, why? And we were speculating. I have no inside knowledge, of course, but it's good cop, bad cop routine. Alvin's like, we're going to trial. DOJ is like, your case is crap. Don't. So they dump a bunch of stuff on his desk and he's, oh no, I've got a discovery problem. Okay, I don't really want to adjourn 30 days, but I'm forced to because the DOJ put this on me. Oh no, I guess we'll wait 30 days. So and we were mocking the whole thing. And wondering what was going on here. Like, why now? You know, by the way, this is like a 2016 case, okay? This is Stormy Daniels before the 2016 election. Why did they wait until the election year of 2024 to bring this? And there's strong arguments. We are still yet to see what the so-called felony is that ultimately justifies the extension of the statute of limitations that keeps this case ripe in the first place. So he says we're consenting to an adjournment of 30 days. That's Alvin Bragg. So the judge has given us the background. He says, okay. Now, the court relied on these filings, which were filed by officers of the court. That's by you attorneys. And we agreed to a prompt hearing. And the trial is scheduled to begin today, says the judge. And it was adjourned until April 15th, and we set today's hearing. Now, the court also requested all the correspondence with the Southern District of New York. And the court received that affirmation of Todd Blanche. And Todd's affirmation went far afield. And the court, by the way, has also examined the hundreds of pages filed. And the court is of the opinion that there really are not significant questions of facts to even be resolved here today. Judge is like, what are we even doing here? So, okay, I got your motions. I've read everything. I don't even know what we're here for. Seems pretty simple to me. The judge asks the lawyers, is there anything else I should consider? Is there anything else I missed? Trump's defense says, Your Honor, yeah, we communicated with the Southern District of New York. That's the feds. Okay, so Alvin is the state. We'll call him the city. And the feds. Trump's defense says, we communicated with the feds on March 20th, 5 days ago, seeking information. Hey, what do you guys have, right? Because you guys dropped a bunch of stuff on Alvin's desk. So now we want to go to the feds and see what they got. So we were seeking information for them. Like, okay, well, what else do you got? Apparently you have this stuff. It would be nice if we had it since our client is a defendant on trial starting, today. They have said they are coming to provide information about Clifford, Miss Clifford. That's Stormy Daniels. So Trump's defense saying, yeah, they got more stuff coming about Stormy. And the judge cuts him off and says, well, I don't think that's related to today's hearing, but thank you for that. Okay, when did you request those documents? And today's hearing is really about the Michael Cohen documents, right? Cohen got, there's a wheelbarrow full of Cohen stuff that Alvin got. And Cohen is their key witness, the guy who's already been convicted of perjury once before and is alleged to have committed perjury again by a federal judge like 3 months ago. Star witness for Alvin. Okay, so in addition to a Cohen dump, we're now going to have a Stormy dump too. And the judge, I don't care about the Stormy dump. Shut up about that. When did you request those documents? They're not related. On March 20th. We requested them from the New York DA, from Bragg earlier, but from the Southern District of New York only on March 20th. And Bragg's lawyer says, we agree. I mean, those other records, those Stormy Daniel records are not related, says Bragg's lawyer. And the judge says, okay, well, I'm considering that then too. Says, well, I did have an opportunity, this is the judge, to review the documents like all of, I wish I had a bit more time. But for Trump, your request was made in January for those original documents. Why didn't you bring this to my attention at the February hearing, huh? Well, the process was ongoing, says Trump's defense. The request hadn't been granted yet. I don't know what we would have said to the court at that time. And so I can apologize. The judge says, hey, it's just a question. Okay. I don't need an explanation. You did not bring it up, but you argued then for a delay. And he said, well, we can give you multiple reasons to argue for delay on that day, Judge. We gave you multiple, like over in the middle of an election is another one, We didn't think that the document issue would be persuasive to the court then. That's why we didn't bring it up. In other words, if we would have brought it up back then to you and said, Judge, they're dragging their feet on discovery. They have documents that we need to do our job. We know you would have said, we don't quit your whining. They'll get it to you soon enough, right? So in other words, Judge, we didn't think you'd care. Judge says, okay, for both parties, this is for both of you now. You received the Michael Cohen documents by March 15th, right? And how many were relevant to this case? So again, the DOJ dropped, this big dumpster right on Alvin. How many were relevant to this case? How many documents? Whoa, 300 or so that are largely inculpatory, incriminating. Inculpatory? Bragg's lawyer says yes. The judge says inculpatory. Like they're going to incriminate you? not exculpatory like exonerate you, right? Normally we talk about exculpatory evidence, which is the evidence that, they'll tell you about, you got an obligation to receive under Brady, right? Stuff that might exonerate the defense. You got to know about it. So inculpatory, Trump's lawyer says, inculpatory, get the heck out of here. We very much disagree with that, okay? The number of documents that are relevant has grown from last week. We can't ignore bank records from Cohen. Inculpatory, says, Judge Merchan says, if you're talking about the Mueller investigation, it's not relevant to this case. And Trump's lawyer says, but Your Honor, he says, shut up. I decide what is relevant, and I'm not letting that in. Trump's defense says, well, the witness discussed what his role was at the time, and the production included 4,000 emails. The judge says, 4,000 what? Pertaining to what? I don't know. There are 2,300 attachments we're still going through. We only got these a week ago, and we're scheduled for trial like today, as you know. Says, Judge, I can give you examples on all these documents, but we have not reviewed all the attachments or the multimedia files because we just got them a week ago. He says, well, I don't care. I need more information from you guys. What's in the files if you're so concerned about them? Trump's defense says, okay, Your Honor, it's about Cohen's roles as President Trump's personal attorney. Okay, these are emails we'd never seen before. Some we can say are not relevant, sure, but we cannot just take the people's word for this as to the 300. We're just going to trust Alvin Bragg? No. Some of the documents are thousands of pages long. They're banking information, okay? Internal communication among banking staff. Judge says, how many documents are relevant to this case? Trump said, thousands, Your Honor, thousands. Okay, 2,000, 20,000, 100 million thousand. I need to know. Consider how much time. Bragg's lawyer, not Bragg apparently, probably sitting back there, next to Tish with his shoes off, like she was. The March 15th production, says the government, it was 91,000 pages. 56,000 were records from Sterling Bank, and Sterling Bank had nothing to do with this case. And another 35,000 of these, they came from First Republic. And so the government continues saying the First Republic records are all about shell companies that were set up in connection with Stormy. And so they are inculpatory. Trump's defense says, Your Honor, they talked at length about the Access Hollywood tape and the 302s. As for the banking information, okay, we need to look at all that. They told about the other stuff, but they didn't said anything about the other stuff. Trump's defense says there are records of Mr. Cohen still claiming to be a Trump org employee. It's Giglio material. We might raise it on cross. Now, the People's Memo, says the judge, of March 18th says there's a footnote here on your memo. Can you please clarify that? It was about 9 banks. 9 banks. Bragg and the government continue, says these were grand jury materials that could only be shared with law enforcement parties. Now, the note was intending to say that we did not acknowledge the documents are relevant. And the judge looks over at Bragg and says, okay, well, Trump is saying that you're actively suppressing discoveries. What do you say to that? Well, it were preparing a witness. No new information, so no memorialization or disclosure. He said, well, they cite a day that Cohen was filmed entering your office. They say that Cohen entered your office, and they write that Michael Cohen also went on a podcast and he was talking about documents like this one that came from your office. So that's where they're saying there's some corruption here, that Bragg is like meeting with with Michael Cohen in his office and then going on podcast. And so the government lawyer says, well, that was a binder of publicly available materials. Okay, so that binder is not discoverable. So they shouldn't have gotten a copy of that anyways. And the judge said, well, it said the defense and the Southern District of New York. So the defense motion was saying that their team, the defense and the feds, were trying for 7 days to schedule a call with you. Did it take that long? Trump's lawyer interjects and says, no, Your Honor, sorry, there were 2 separate calls. So the judge is trying to pin down, when these things got discovered, who's calling who, when were meetings scheduled to transfer the documents, how much time do you need to review the documents that were transferred, it's kind of hard to follow, as you can tell, but he's just trying to, pin down into what ultimately happened with this discovery. Do you have a meeting? How long did it take? Did it take that long? Why did it take 7 days? Okay. Judge continues. Is there any authority under the law that requires Alvin Bragg to obtain this information from the feds? So now Trump's people are saying, look, we've been prejudiced, okay? We're at a disadvantage. We've got trial scheduled like tomorrow. You have just apparently received all this discovery. They say that it's, 300 pages that are inculpatory. We say we don't even know. We got to look at everything. We're not taking their word for it, that only these 300 documents matter and that there's nothing exculpatory in there. We need this and this and this. So they say because Bragg did not give them the discovery, there has been a material harm to them. There's prejudice and the case should be postponed or, ultimately dismissed. So he says, okay, well, you say that Bragg had a duty to give you some documents. Is there any authority under the law to require that? Trump's defense says, yes, under the law, they are required to get information that is not necessarily under their custody. So even though it's not in their manila file folder, they should go get it from the feds. It seems you allege that there's another type of violation here. And says, do you have any case law on this? Do you have some case law on this? And Trump's lawyer says, no, Your Honor, I don't have a case where you created a hack prosecution against the former president, 10 years later. Judge says, no, I don't have, he says, no, I don't have a case. Judge says, well, that is disconcerting. Given your allegations about Bragg's misconduct, and I'm somehow complicit in their misconduct, and you don't even have a citation to this, says the judge, looking at Trump's attorney. Not even one fake citation like Michael Cohen had? Call him. He knows where to get citations. Just use Google Bard, super search engine AI. Judge continues, and I don't want to hear about emails or phone calls, okay? Now here's my final question. And he's blown his nose. It's disgusting, Judge. Excuse me, I apologize, he says. Maybe he's sick. Give him a break. The allegation is that the people did not gather the info from the U.S. Attorney's Office. So the judge is saying, okay, the defense is saying you didn't go get it. You had a duty to go get it. So are you saying that there was knowing withholding, like they did something intentionally to try to deviate your access to the discovery? Trump's defense says, Your Honor, there were requests from the defense, I guess, all the way back to 2019. Then there was a big meeting. The DA told the Southern District, we're going to come back and ask for information. SDNY never said no. So the people ask and they get. They knew, right? So he gets cut off. They knew all the way back in 2019, 5 years ago, that there was some material that they wanted. Judge 1 says, well, why did you wait until 2 months before trial to bring this up? And he says, well, that's because we were going through the already 11 million pages of discovery that's already been provided to us. That's why. Yeah, because we already have like 15 Washington monuments full of copy paper, okay? And someone did the math on that. It's not a joke. You were in that office for 13 years, says the judge. You knew enough to ask. Oh gosh, this judge, these judges. So the judge is now making it the defense's burden to make sure the prosecution does their job. Watch. Judge Mercan, why did you wait until 2 months before going to trial to bring this up, that you don't have this discovery? Which, by the way, is a tactical maneuver, right? Nope, they didn't disclose any of this evidence. Therefore, they can't use it. It is precluded. Thanks. Why did you wait? Because it's a tactical maneuver. And, anyways, Trump's lawyer says, well, also because we were already going through the 11 million pages of discovery that was already provided. And he says to Trump's lawyer, who was probably a prosecutor, he says, you were in that office as a prosecutor for 13 years. So you knew enough to ask for it, right? The defense lawyer needs to call the prosecutor. Excuse me, hey, lazy bum, what are you doing? Put your food down. Listen, we need some discovery. You should do your job here so that I can't help my client, right? I'm going to serve your interests and not my client's. Great. Trump's lawyer says, perfect. It's not our job. That's why. The judge says it's not the DA's job. Says, well, you could have requested it in June and you could have gotten it. He says there's a broader obligation of the people, Your Honor, more than just looking around their office, just checking for the files. Hey, do you have any files for Trump? Bragg's like, No, check thoroughly, nothing in there. There's a broader question, says Trump's defense, more than just look around their office and just say, hey, thanks, feds. Judge says to Trump's defense, did you review the people's exhibits? Of course. Yeah, there's 30,000 emails. They were from search warrants. The people could have asked for them. They were already working with the feds. And the regulations are complicated in all this. We had to establish that we had already subpoenaed Mr. Cohen, and there's no way to know if a request last summer would have even yielded this. So we didn't know what the people would do. This time, the Southern District of New York took 5 days to even respond, and the judge cuts them off. So how did the communications between Manhattan Bragg and the feds start? Your papers are misleading. How did communications between the state and the feds, between Bragg and the feds, start? And he jumps in. He says, the people did not obstruct you. That's just not what happened. They didn't obstruct you. Like, they didn't stop you from going and getting it. They didn't go and get it, but they didn't stop you from going and getting it. Trump's defense says, Your Honor, they had not asked for the SDNY, the feds, for a single piece of paper. They should have told the SDNY, hey, give us some information. And he says, well, they did pretty much. And Alvin says, Your Honor, short of suing the federal government, I don't know what we could have done, right? So Alvin Bragg's like, well, I don't know how we would have gotten it anyways. Even if they told us to go get it, I don't know what we could have done. Like, if the feds aren't going to give it to us, then we're not going to get it. Trump's defense says, come on, Your Honor, there were multiple communications back and forth, okay? They say they had no obligation, but that's just wrong. They do. They're the government. They're the prosecutors. They can't just, oops, I looked, it's not there. Judge says, all right, pipe down, everybody. This is a pattern, I see. I hear information, and then I hear your interpretation. He's looking at Trump. And they're different. What's with this? I hear information like reality. Then I hear from you. And we're so far apart, and they're just different. So we're going to take a short break, says the judge. Let's take 45 minutes. Looks a surprise here, right? Everyone's like, what? We just started. It's like an hour. We've been here for like an hour. Like 30 minutes. What are you talking about? We're just getting warmed up here. They're back. 45 minutes later, it's 12:09. Judge walks in. All rise. Again, here you go, Judge. Need another break, Judge? Okay. Please be seated. Okay. Judge says, look, now, I went and talked to someone else who's actually in charge of this case, who's just telling me what to do. And the White House told me. Judge Wamber Khan takes the bench. He says, all right, everybody, we're back from our break. The purpose of this hearing was to determine who was to blame and what prejudice is to result from this late disclosure of all this Cohen garbage. He says, I will rule from the bench. I've already decided. This court finds that Bragg and the state is not at fault for the late production of documents. Big surprise, Judge. Thanks. Says the DA's office was diligent and Trump will not suffer any prejudice at all. Which is crazy because it's like a whole nother dump of documents, right? Now, jury selection will proceed in 21 days on April 15th, and it will not conflict with Passover. Okay, so judge says, nope, all that new discovery, you get 21 days. I think even Bragg was agreeing to 30 days, so judge even cuts that short. 30 days from 7 days ago, I guess, is at that. Okay, close enough. 21 days, 3 weeks, boom. Trump's defense says, we've been trying to file a motion about pretrial publicity, Your Honor, and so that is still pending. Bragg's lawyer says, we think it unlikely that adjournment is warranted by pretrial publicity, but if they move for it, we'll respond. I guess we'll respond. The judge says, you're going to file another motion? Why? What's changed? What do we care about your stupid motion, Trump? Trump's lawyer said, well, Your Honor, it's pretty simple here. We collected and we analyzed data, okay? These motions come very close to the trial date. We've looked at the scene here. Trump is running for president. He should not have to sit here for this trial now for 6 weeks, given that Manhattan and Bragg could have filed this case, 3 years ago. Trump's defense says, when can you file it? The judge says, when can you file that motion? Trump says, today, we'll file it today. It's attached to our pre-motion letter. He says, fine, file it today. Alvin, you have a week to respond. I'll see you all on the 15th of April. We are adjourned. And so, another great thread, okay? Inner City Press does great work. Please go follow him on X. You can see exactly how to do that at Inner City Press. He's got some great books. He writes, he does a lot of coverage, turns them into books, sells them on Amazon. He's got a great Substack, and he brings us the goods from inside the courtroom in only the way that Matthew Russell Lee can do it. So check him out. Thank you, Inner City Press, for the great reporting. Of course, Trump was, pretty irritated about that, but kind of not, right? They're getting the same treatment that we've seen from other New York judges, from Judge Engeron in the Tish case, and from Judge Kaplan in the E. Jean Carroll Bergdorf and Bergdorf's case. So now Trump has come out, and I think he's sort of recognizing, along with many of us, that this is all starting to backfire on them. He is being politically prosecuted, and unfortunately for them, it is showing their partisanship, right? It's showing that they're not interested in justice, and it makes the entire effort kind of a joke. Here is what Trump says about this right after the proceeding ended. Here is Trump out in New York.
It's a great honor to be with you at 40 Wall Street, and we appreciate you have a lot of press outside, and I think we're going to start before a lot of them come in, which frankly always makes me happy. So, a lot of things happened today. This is all about election interference. This is all Biden-run things, meaning Biden and his thugs, because I don't know if he knows he's alive. And it's a shame. It's a shame what's happening to our country. This is election interference. They are doing things that have never been done in this country before. We've never had anything like it, certainly not at this level, but we've really had nothing like it that I've been able to find. It does happen a lot in third world countries, banana republics. If you look at what we just left, you have a case which they're dying to get this thing started. The judge cannot go faster. He wants to get it started so badly. And there's tremendous corruption. You have Pomerantz.
And they are all hinging on this case, right? Both Jack Smith's cases are very questionable at this moment. The J6 case is on appeal with the Supreme Court. The Florida classified docs case is going to be another questionable one, right? Whether that gets scheduled before the election or not. We've got all these classified hearings that are being scheduled and delaying things out. We also have immunity issues and other appealable issues like the selective and vindictive prosecution filing that may ultimately dismiss that. Fani's case is very likely to go up on appeal there in Fulton County, so that's all going to be delayed. This is it. This is the only one they've got. And Trump is about to walk us through a little bit of the history on this that we haven't talked about in quite some time. But remember, before Alvin Bragg even came on this case, this is the zombie case that was being kicked around by the other DA, Cyrus Vance, Mark Pomerantz, and these other guys who basically were leftovers from the 2016 election. And they were saying that they resigned, like they were very upset about the decision not to prosecute. They wrote books about this and all this. And then they rectified this case because they're out of other options. It's wild.
Mark Pomerantz. He was Hillary Clinton's lawyer, or Democrat National Committee's lawyer. He worked in Paul Weiss. He walked in and he took over the district attorney's office. Nobody's ever seen anything like that, to prosecute Trump. And then they wouldn't do what he wanted to do, and he goes out and he writes a book. Long before any decisions were made, he writes a book about it. And the book gets published, and everybody's reading his book. And the judge said there's nothing wrong with that. And if you look at Bragg had a fit over that. Bragg said this trial is now dead. We can't do the trial. Well, that was one of the problems. And the judge
they don't care about any of that.
Allowed that to happen. And you had other instances like Colangelo. Colangelo is a radical left from the DOJ who was put into the state working with Letitia James, and then was put into the district attorney's office to run the trial against Trump. And that was done by Biden and his thugs also, because they can't win an election because of the borders, because of energy prices, because of inflation, because of Afghanistan, the worst and most embarrassing day in the history of our country. He can't win because of Russia, because of all the problems, because of Ukraine being attacked by Russia, and he can't win because of the October 7th attack of Israel, which he should have never allowed to happen. Would have never happened if I were president. Ukraine would have never been attacked if I was president. And you wouldn't have inflation if I was president. We didn't have inflation. So all of these things, so what they do is they do election interference, which is court cases, and let's try and tie him up, and let's take as much of his money as possible. I respect the appellate division for substantially reducing that ridiculous amount of money that was put on by a corrupt judge named Engoron. He ought to be looked at, seriously looked at, especially what he did with valuations. He's the one, he's a fraudulent valuator.
That's true.
Where he values Mar-a-Lago at $18 million, and people say it's worth 50 to 100 times that much, the biggest experts in the business.
And it's funny, all the lefties are now salivating over the potential seizure of Trump's property, which, you know, is looking like that's not going to happen because he is going to post the modified bond, which we'll talk about in a different segment. But they were all screaming, well, what if we take Trump Tower? How much money would that be? They're like, evaluating and valuation of big buildings and real estate's kind of tricky business. So what could it be worth? They're all like debating this. What's it going to be worth? They're like, hello, Trump just did that with the banks and you prosecuted him for that. So you're all going to jail now. Enjoy.
So he ought to be looked at, and James ought to be looked at because she tried to get him. She's like the puppet master of the judge. And, you know, our state, this state, is losing tremendous prestige. It's losing its companies. It's losing its people. They're fleeing, and violent crime is flourishing. And we can't have that. We can't have that. No city should have that. And it's happening in other cities, but not with the lawfare. The lawfare that they're doing is incredible. So they could have done this in the case of the trial that we just left, one of the many that are going. Every single one of them is run by Biden and his thugs. It's the only way they think they can get elected. And I think so far it's backfiring because the people of this country understand it. It's backfiring.
That's right. It is backfiring. And so all engines are firing to get Trump, but every time they indict him or every time they try to remove him from a ballot, it seems like his polls go up because people understand what's happening. They understand that their justice system is now being taken over by partisan political actors, and that's not what this country is about. It breaks everything. If you don't have a justice system that is legitimate, credible, and believable, everything else falls. So it's kind of an important issue, and we're grateful you're here covering it with us. We, of course, are going to be here covering this one. This is the next most recent trial that is on the calendar, April 15th. And so thank you for subscribing. We're going to be here covering this. It's looking like there will not be cameras in the courtroom. And so we'll be covering whatever X script threads are out there, doing our best to bring you the day's events. And so thank you for subscribing and joining us and covering all of these cases as we cover them and hitting that like button as well. We also have some great links down in the description below. Thank you for checking out watchingthewatchers.locals.com and becoming a member. That way you can sign up and catch our morning streams, our Saturday shows, and join our after parties when we're done here. We'd love to see you there and right back here on the next one. All right, so let's see what else is happening in New York, because we just heard a little bit from Trump talking about Tish, and we got some more reaction on that, as well as the order from the Court of Appeals. Tish James loses another one. She is down $289 million. We know she's been keeping track of this, keeping score like a disgusting hack on her X account every single day, posting how much Trump had to pay in terms of a bond plus interest and so on and so forth. But that number drops way down. It was 464 million. Now it's 175 million, dropping by about 2/3, a reduction of $289 million. Now, of course, $175 million is still disgusting, but it's something that is feasible, something that Trump can do. And in fact, he said he is going to do it, and he's going to be paying cha-ching in cash, as we'll hear from him in a minute. But Tish is not happy about this, nor should she be. And neither are many of the lefties out there all across America, all crying, there's two tiers of justice for here. How can Trump keep getting away with this? Like, oh my God, you guys are the ones prosecuting him in the first place. So let's take a look at the order that came down from the Court of Appeals. I don't think this bodes well for Tish and the rest of them in Engeron. But here is what it looks like. Coming from the appellate division for the state of New York, you see the judges on this one are Diane, Renwick, Singh, Gonzalez, Pitberg, O'Neill, Levy. And this is the case of Tish versus Trump and the rest of the Trump organization, plus Eric and others. Now, here is what they tell us. From the Court of Appeals, they say appeals having been taken to this court from Engeron's court, entered back on February 16th, and from a judgment in the same court and the same judge, Engeron. So we had an order, a judgment, all the paperwork from Areola Engeron. And the defendants, appellants have moved, pursuant to the law, to stay enforcement, so that's Trump, to stay enforcement of Engeron's order and the judgment, pending hearings and determination of the appeals that we're talking about now. So the Court of Appeals says now, upon reading and filing the papers with respect to the motion, and due deliberation having been had thereon, all the justices up there in the Court of Appeals have said the following, signed here by Susana Molina Rojas as the clerk, says, it is ordered that Trump's motion is granted, sorry, Tish, to the extent of staying enforcement of those portions of the judgment that are the following. So think of it like bullet points. All of these bullet points, 1, 2, 3, all the way up here through 5, are all going to be stayed. It is granted to the extent, Trump's motion is granted to the extent of staying enforcement of the following. 1, ordering disgorgement to the Attorney General of $464 million, right? That's Tish's big number. That will be stayed. Do not have to do that. As so long conditioned on Trump posting within 10 days, 175 million, which again is like an insane number, but something that's much more reasonable. And so he might, he may go get a bond for that, have to post, I don't know what a $175 million bond looks like or what the percentages are, but he'll post some money and secure a bond, or maybe he's got 175 and he posts it outright. I don't know. We'll see. But here, posting 175 means you don't have to post the full amount, but also these other things are stayed. Okay. Sub point 2 is permanently barring Weisselberg and McConney from serving in any New York corporation or business entity. Okay. So they're good. You're clear. Weisselberg, McConney, you're good for now. It's all stayed. Barring Trump, Weisselberg, and McConney from serving as an officer or director of any of the New York corporation for 3 years. Also good. Good to do that. You guys are good. Barring Trump from applying for loans. You're good. That should be stayed for 3 years. So that portion of the order is stayed. Barring Trump and Eric Trump from serving as an officer in a New York corporation for 2 years. That's also stayed. And the aforesaid, all that stuff is conditioned on Trump perfecting the appeals in this term of the court, right? So you got to, file your notice of appearance, file your appellate memorandum, pay the fee, all that stuff. The motion is otherwise denied. Okay. So like all this stuff was granted. There was a big heaping, bundle of stuff that was all granted, all stayed. So Engeron was putting this into enforcement and nope, not anymore. All back on hold. The motion is otherwise denied, including to the extent it seeks a stay of enforcement of the portions of the judgment that extend and enhance the role of the monitor. Okay. So the monitor that I think her name is like Barbara something, who was making millions of dollars off this grift. That's still good. So that's not stayed. Engeron already modified that, and also directing the installation of an independent director of compliance. So in other words, those two things can continue on, but the other stuff has been stayed. So very, very, very good news for Trump. And he, I think, is very happy about that as well. But some people on the left are not. Tish, very unhappy about this. You can see Adam Klasfeld got a summary of her response when she came out. I don't know if she had her shoes on or off when she was writing this, probably off, but she wrote this. She said, Donald Trump is still facing accountability for his staggering fraud. The court has already found that he engaged in years of fraud to falsely inflate his net worth and unjustly enrich himself, his family, and his organization. The $464 million judgment plus interest against Trump and the other defendants still stands. For now, it does. For now. But it just got cut in by two-thirds because it was so outrageous and insane. And we'll see how much further down it goes from there. So you can see she's a little bit upset about this. And the bond has been reduced dramatically. And so, sorry, Tish, maybe you should put that back on your X account. So Trump posted this. He said a couple things, that he will be paying this cash bond in cash. And I think this might be the clip. Yeah, here was the clip. Trump's walking out. He gets asked about this. And here is what El Trumpo himself says.
Trump, how does it feel for Floyd?
Thank you very much. Judge Ed Gorin has done a terrible disservice to the state of New York.
True.
What he's done is terrible. Businesses are fleeing, and you see that. We just released a statement on Truth. Businesses are fleeing, and crime is flourishing all over the state, and what he's done is such a disservice and should never be allowed to happen again. New York State is being battered by his decision. So I greatly respect the decision of the appellate division, and I'll post either $175 million in cash or bonds or security or whatever is necessary very quickly within the 10 days. And I thank the appellate division for acting quickly. But Judge Engoron is a disgrace to this country, and this should not be allowed to happen. Thank you very much.
Would you accept foreign money to pay the bond?
All right, so we had Todd Blanche, as you saw here. Todd Blanche is this guy. Susan Nicholas is this guy. Susan. And so they were there behind Trump, and he had a couple other lawyers who I think were in attendance, Emil Bove and some others, but I do not see them. That might be Emil back there. But okay, so that's Trump saying, yep, gonna post it as a bond, as cash bond. And here is, I think, one final turnaround reaction from the president. Here is Emil Bove and the rest of the team here. Mr. Trump, how are you going to pay this $175 million?
What's your collateral for the bond?
Cash.
Dun, dun.
What's your collateral for the bond?
Cash.
Oh, mic drop. Cash, baby. Cash, obviously. $175 million. Don't worry about it. All right, so there's Trump, right? And all of these people, including Joe Biden, have been saying broke Don, right? That's their new stupid meme, is broke Don, broke Don, broke Don. He's like, I got cash for it. And we've already seen this. He's got the cash. It's just not for Tish. He's not giving it to Tish, right? It's for other people, like the American people, to be spent in the campaign itself. And so we had some other comments about this entire case from Donald Trump himself. And he was explaining and actually taking some questions on this from the press and the media. And I wanted to see where this one exchange was. Here, let's just play some of this.
My greatest assets, I have no doubt. I didn't even include like brand value. And the brand value is, I became president because of the brand, let's say. But the brand value is, it's one of the most valuable brand values. So I think I wouldn't swap it for any other brand in the world. Trump. I don't even put anything down for it. I had very conservative statements. And the way they made him look bad is by valuing Mar-a-Lago at $18 million instead of what the real value is, which was at least 50 to maybe 100 times more. Think of that. This is the fraud. They're creating a fraud, and they're hurting the state so badly. And then I can't go into the New York Stock Exchange because I can't do business, because I don't want to do, not because I can't, because I don't want to do business in New York. And the people at the New York Stock Exchange, I can tell you right now, and they're very fine people, they're not happy. Yeah, you were going to say something.
Mr. President, you mentioned the cash you had. You said on Friday it was something like $500 million. You intended to put some of that into the campaign. Now that the bond's been reduced, are you going to start putting money into your campaign?
Yeah.
You haven't done that since 2016.
Well, first of all, it's none of your business, I mean, frankly. But I might do that. I have the option. But if I have to spend $500 million on a bond, I wouldn't have that option. I'd have to start selling things. I don't have to sell anything. because it's a phenomenal company. Look, I built a phenomenal company. Someday they'll actually report that. I built a phenomenal company that's very low leverage, unbelievably low leverage, with a lot of cash, a lot of everything else. Why should I let a crooked judge make a decision to give $450 million that allows me to spend very little money on my campaign if I so choose? I'll be spending money on my campaign. I might spend a lot of money on my campaign, but I should have that option. A crooked judge shouldn't say, we're going to have you post a bond and take all of that money that I could be spending on a campaign or other things if I want to do other things. So we were gratified by the professionalism of the opinion today. I thought it was I think it's a very important opinion for New York, but the only thing that's going to really solve that problem is when I win, because you're going to have to win. Because no company is going to be coming to New York if I don't win that case. That case is a scam, it's a sham, and it's a hoax.
How does this solve the problem?
Government to pay the bond or their fines or
no, I don't do that. I think you'd be allowed to, possibly. I don't know. I mean, if you go borrow from a big bank, many of the banks are outside of this. As you know, the biggest banks, frankly, are outside of our country.
And they're using this as a new point of attack against Trump to say, who paid that money? Did Putin pay it? Did Vladimir wire him $175 million? I knew it, right? And they're going to just go to his bank account and even and make it up, right? Where it didn't happen. And it's going to be the Russia collusion hoax 2.0. And saying he is beholden to somebody. And more seriously, right, they say Elon Musk or someone else. And I don't need it. If I needed to, right, I think I would be allowed to. Banks have money from all over the place, but they're trying to hit him over the head with this because they can't possibly believe that he's actually got the cash.
So you could do that, but I don't need to borrow money. I have a lot of money. I built a great company. But I don't want to have a crooked judge named Engoron and a crooked, horrible, the worst, I would say without question, Attorney General in the country. The most obnoxious and the worst Attorney General.
And stinky, too. Stinky. She takes her shoes off in the courtroom. Oh, my God, gross.
Whole country. And she did it for political reasons. Go back and take a look at her ads. We will stop Trump. Well, she knows nothing about me. I'd never heard of her. She was advertising, and she took ads in saying, we will stop Trump, we will stop him. Vicious. I said, boy, that's a bad one. Then I looked, she got elected. But then she tried to do it with the governor, and it didn't work. She went after the current governor, who's much more talented than she is. She went after the current governor. She was very nasty, and she polled at about 3%. She polled at nothing, and after 6 weeks or 7 weeks, she pulled out of the race. She ran for governor, on what she was doing to me. She thought that would work. It didn't work. I just think that it's very important that, this is a time when businesses have a choice to go to a lot of places, including other countries. They don't have to stay in our country, but they can certainly go also to a lot of other states. A lot of people going to Texas, Florida, Tennessee, North Carolina, a lot of South Carolina, and you have a lot of competition. You shouldn't be persecuting people that have done a great job. I paid $300 million approximately over the years in taxes here. $300 million. That's a lot of money. And you're going to lose those people that pay all that money, and you're not even going to have a state anymore. They just won't be able to do it. Yep.
Sir, but back to the trial here in 3 weeks. Do you plan to testify, and are you concerned?
The which hearing?
The trial here.
I don't know that you're going to have the trial. Well, I don't know how you can have a trial like this.
She's asking about the Bragg trial, the criminal prosecution.
In the middle of an election, a presidential election, and this is a Biden trial. These are all Biden trials because Colangelo works for Biden. Can you imagine they take a guy out of DOJ and they put him into the Attorney General's office and then into the Manhattan DA's office to go after Trump? These are all Biden trials, so I don't know that you're going to have it. I think we're going to get some court rulings. Yeah, please.
All right, we'll see. So that is Trump, and of course, reacting to the Engoron appeal, which is saying he only now has to post $175 million rather than the $464 million. And the left is very, very upset about that. So Trump basically declaring victory on that. Okay, fine. If it's only $1.75. Trump likes to make deals, right? He likes to make it. You never pay full price, obviously. Their first offer, $464 million. Get out of here. I'll give you a third, right? It's like the Pawn Star show. I'll give you $280. I'll give you $175 for it. hey, it's 474 million. Get out of here. I'll give you 175. They're like, okay, I guess here you go. It's Trump, right? Here you go. What can you do? So very upset about it, whining all over the place. Listen to this guy. He doesn't even have words. That's how mad he is. And he will explain that here in a minute. I'm just so infuriated when the news broke because Trump keeps, I guess, getting away with what? Their political partisan prosecutions.
And honestly, this is so infuriating. I don't even know what to do. I don't even know if I care what the process is.
I don't care.
That these judges are arriving at. Whatever it is, it's flawed. I can tell you that much.
Okay.
I mean, David put it well. This is a different process for this person. We have decided that he gets his own private court of.
It is a different process. You're right. No one else is going through this. No one else has ever gone through this. You guys have gone insane. So it is a little bit unnerving for you when it goes back to normal. Like when a judge comes back and says, what you guys have done is lunacy. So how about no, we're not doing 464 million. How about 175, which I don't even know how they came to that number either, right? Where did that come from? Don't even care how it happened. I just want to break something.
Justice. He has a private plane. He has private clubs that he lives in. Apparently, he basically fashioned himself his own private militia to try to take over the Capitol.
Private militia to take over the Capitol. Got it.
Now he's getting his own private system of justice. This is an absolute travesty.
Yeah.
It would not happen for anybody else. Anybody else, it would be like, sorry, buddy, you lost. Pay up. For him, he gets his own set of rules.
Very upset about it.
Legally, Tristan, how is that done?
We just saw it. They just decided that the appellate court has now just decided they're going to swoop in and just change it. And that's it. And now the AG's office can now try to go up above them. I believe, I don't know what the details are because you just told us. I'm guessing this is coming from the First Department, Appellate Division, First Department. That's the intermediate court here in New York that would be issuing a decision here. I don't know if there is a remedy for the AG's office to go up to the Court of Appeals, which is our high court here in New York, and try to get them to basically countermand this order. But in my view, this is, without knowing more, unless there's some sort of other extenuating circumstance that we're going to learn here, this appears to be an absolute gross miscarriage of justice.
Oh, man, they're so upset about it. And you can see, I don't know what he's going to have to do to console himself tonight, but it's going to have to be a lot. So this was also this guy. You remember him, Lawrence Tribe. He was BFFs with Judge Ludwig, who talks like in one of the most painful molasses sounding, very slow, very painful. But Lawrence came out. He says, the New York Appellate Court, in their unexplained reduction from 454 to 175 million in the bond must post, is it a travesty of justice? Let's hope public disgust with this preferential treatment will come back to bite Trump politically. We're going, what are you talking about? These people have lost the plot so much. The analogy that I've been thinking a lot about is the bully, right? It's like a bully comes and beats you up for your money, takes your lunch money, then calls you poor for not having lunch money, which is basically Joe Biden saying Trump is poor, even though he's under financial attack and onslaught that the federal government is paying, right? How much is Jack Smith costing the government? It's tens of millions of dollars. Trump has to meet that at least. So if they spend 50, Trump probably has to spend 100, right? So it's like the bully coming and beating you up and taking your lunch money and then calling you poor for doing that. In this case, the lunch money can only take a third of it. And you're still the person to blame. Lunch money, they give you back 2/3 of what they originally stole. And then you are in trouble for that, for having a separate system of justice because you get beat up by the bully, right? These people have lost it. And so Trump, emerges victoriously, I would say. Tish is very unhappy about it. The left is melting down about that. So anytime that happens is a big victory. First deal, never take the first deal, right? Art of the deal, baby. Tish should have read his book. Maybe she would have gotten some more bond money. But major victory for Trump, of course. We're going to continue to cover this appeal. We'd like to see all of it go away. The case absolutely dismissed because it was a giant sham. We covered it here. All of the prior videos from the Engeron case are here. We have them organized into a nice playlist. So check those out if you want to get some backstory on this or continue on in this saga. But we'll be here continuing to cover the Tish saga and her stinky feet. And so hopefully you join us as we do. Thank you for subscribing wherever you're watching this. Thanks for inviting a friend or family member to come on over and join us when we go live here. Thanks for checking out some of the links down in the description below, becoming a member on Locals, supporting our work, grab some extra content, go to watchingthewatchers.locals.com if you want to join us there. Otherwise, my friends, we'll see you back here on the next one. All right, we got one final segment on the day, and it's Fani time. We're going to have a lot of Fani in this segment. All right, so just brace yourselves for it because she was talking a lot over the weekend, and I think she's as delusional as ever. Big Fani Willis has a warning for Trump. The train is coming. She was speaking after her disqualification hearing where she suddenly and surprisingly remained on the case despite all of the alleged perjury and misconduct that we all saw and witnessed here. But Fani is now speaking, and we've got two interviews from her, one in which she says that she's the face of feminism now. So shout out. She is the face of feminism now, and the Trump train is now going to be facing the Fani train, which is coming down the mountain as she comes. Now, we got some big hearings coming up, and we're going to be covering these live, so make sure you're subscribed wherever it is you're tuning in from. But coming up this week, we've got a post-hearing motions hearing. So we've got this scheduled Thursday, March 28th, 10 a.m., courtroom 5A. And the plan is we're covering this live, so make sure you're subscribed and joining us as this unfolds. But post-hearing brief in support of the adopted demurs and motions raising First Amendment as applied challenges. So remember, the demurs were the dismissal of the charges, essentially, for the indictment being unspecific, non-specific. So we're going to talk about that on Thursday. We also have general and special demur to the indictment. That's a Schaefer doc that was filed recently. It's from David Schaefer. And David Schaefer had another motion. So oral arguments are scheduled for those Thursday, March 28th, 10 a.m. All interested parties can appear via Zoom, and it will be live streamed out of Scott McAfee's courtroom. So we will be covering that and seeing what happens inside there, because that is looking like those are some filings attacking the underlying indictment, the same indictment that already had 6 charges dismissed. 3 of those charges that were dismissed were against Donald Trump. And so Fani is now out and about and talking to the cameras. And so she was here over the weekend and on with the media, local media. So today, 11 Alive was there. And Fani is out. You can see she's kind of in her weekend attire. And here is what the interview sounded like as she started off.
Today we're doing a Easter egg hunt, and it's a lot of fun for our children. We do it every year in the community. I've been doing it since actually before I was the elected district attorney. We do it with a nonprofit organization called WAVE, which is We All Value Excellence, that is mainly made up of police officers and law enforcement officers.
And are there other events like this held throughout the year?
Absolutely. We do a book bag hunt. Most of the focus of WAVE is to give back to either children or the homeless. And it actually started giving back to the homeless. And then we found out there was such a population of homeless children, and so it kind of grew as a natural arm. And so we do things at Thanksgiving.
All right, they're getting these questions out of the way.
Things just during
All right, yeah, we
year.
don't care. We want to get to the good stuff.
Do you feel like there's any difference at all this year than past years, just with recent attention that you've
There we
gotten?
go.
Do you feel different being out
Recent
and about
attention.
right now?
I feel more loved. Actually, I've gotten a lot of support from women that surprised me. I wasn't thinking that I was going to be the face of women, but women of every nationality, African American women, Caucasian women, have been really embracing. Sometimes I think they tell me they're praying for me, but just really, really embracing, very proud of me. So it's
Wow, women all across America embracing Fani. She's the face of women now. Really proud of her. Huh. Proud of her affair with a married man. Proud of her witness tampering when she called other witnesses and said, you don't have to speak, they're coming after us. Basically, shut your mouth. Proud of her perjury that she signed off on in Nathan Wade's affidavit? Is she proud of her lying disclosure forms where she didn't report any of her transactions? Huh. Women across America.
Very interesting to see how proud of women are of what they see in me, and that's very humbling.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go like this. That one hair is lovely.
What was that? Hey, is that a women thing? Let me take care of this for you. Some dude reached in and touched my face like that. I'd have a reaction.
Do you feel like right now this is also
The news media is like, hang on a second. Here, hold on. Let's put the light over here like this for you. You look beautiful.
a good way to remind the community that you're out here, you're working for them, kind of reclaim your reputation in a way with Fulton County? Do you think something like this might help remind people who you are?
I don't think my reputation needs to be reclaimed, so I guess we'll start there. This is what I would do. No matter what was going on, I'm not going to miss these events. We will be doing our book bag drive in July like we always do. We will do our coat drive in November. We will do our toy drive at the holidays. We're not going to miss or skip a beat because of all the noise or the distraction on one case.
Are you going on your cruises, though? Do you have any cruises lined up for the summer? You know, summers are pretty hot in Georgia. Do you want to take a Norwegian cruise up to Norway, maybe see the Aurora Borealis?
To continue to do our work. I don't feel like my reputation needs to be reclaimed. Let's say it for the record. I'm not embarrassed by anything I've done.
You should be.
You know, I guess my greatest crime is I had a relationship with a man, but that's not.
No, it's perjury. It's committing perjury in court, which is a felony. That's your biggest crime. Also, people might say that stealing $750,000 from Georgia taxpayers is a pretty big crime. That's also up there. Witness tampering is a crime. You know, you could charge yourself with a lot of the same crimes that you say that the RICO co-defendants committed. Public officer charges, oath of office charges, all that crap.
Something that I find embarrassing in any way. And I know that I have not done anything that's illegal.
Of course not.
And so I don't feel like my reputation needs to be reclaimed. And when I tell you the outpouring of women, and I'll tell you this, especially African-American women who will just say, we are so proud, you are such a good representative of us.
Whoa.
But I would.
Whoa, really? Really? African-American women. That's a good representation? Okay, that's Fani talking. I don't think so, but she does.
Be lying to say it's only African-American women. I have had Caucasian women, Asian women, Indian women. I told Jeff one day, I didn't think I was the face of the feminist movement, but somehow I became it. And I think that women feel like women are treated differently when they're professionals and they're proud.
She's the face of feminism now. Listen, young girls listening at home, be like Fani, right? Be like Fani Willis. You too can be a prosecutor who is terrible at their job, knows nothing about the law, gets elected for some God knows reason why. Then once you get in there, you can still steal $750,000, have intercourse with your subordinates in violation of your own campaign promises, go on cruises, I think like 5 cruises in 6 months, and partake in a grift of the Georgia taxpayers that has probably been unprecedented in Georgia history. And we'll have a million little Fannies running around America and see how that goes for the country.
To see someone that is strong and trying to do the right job, certainly flawed, like every human being is flawed. My father has a saying, only one perfect man walked the face of the earth and they crucified him. I am not a perfect human being, but what I am is a hardworking human being and a human being that loves the community I serve and who understands this seat does not belong to me. It belongs to the people, and as long as I'm here, I'm going to try to do the job in a way that's honorable.
Speaking of the recent
honorable, there should have been a laugh track there.
Case, you know, did that almost 2.5 month attempt to remove you from this case, did that delay or derail your own case that you're working on against Trump in any way?
No, my team's been continuing to work, and I think the media and especially organizations like your own have been paying attention. All while that was going on, we were writing responsive briefs. We were still doing the case in the way that it needed to be done. I don't feel like we've been slowed down at all. I do think that there are efforts to slow down this train, but the train is coming.
Whoa! The train is coming. Big Fani says the train is coming, right? That's what's coming for Trump. We'll see.
Do you have a date in mind, a next trial date? Is that even being set, or is that still up in the air?
So you may recall in the Trump in the 19 co-defendant case, we asked for an August trial date. We have not been granted that trial date. We may ask for that date again, but we're realistic. We still have demurs and other motions that have not been responded to, and so those motions will have to be resolved, and once those motions are resolved, we would like to push through trial, but we do understand a case has to go through the steps and go through the process. I'm also realistic that one of the defendants has multiple cases going on, and some of them have trial dates that are ahead of ours, and so I'm always going to be respectful of sister jurisdictions, but we plan to just continue to do our work.
And any possibility of coming up with any other plea deals with Trump or any of the other 14 co-defendants?
Well, in not that case, but in any case, a plea is always possible up and through trial. Even once cases have started, people will enter into plea negotiations.
Thanks, Fani.
And so if defendants come to us and they decide that they want to resolve their case, I'm always open-minded and reasonable, and we will listen to those explanations, and I'll have conversations with people that are interested. Now those conversations will be with me and not Mr. Wade. I hope that was...
Who I love and I miss so dearly, and I can't wait to see him later tonight.
Good for everyone.
Last question. Do you have any reaction to the possibility of an appeal on this latest decision by Judge McAfee with Trump and his co-defendants seeking an appeal?
And I know this gets very technical for lay people. There are some appeals that are called direct appeals, and those appeals are automatic. If a judge should end a charge or end something, suppress evidence, a lot of times those appeals are direct appeals. There are other appeals where you have to ask for a certificate of immediate review, and so that's what this one was, where you have to ask the judge, can we even appeal? And so Scott McAfee decided that this was appropriate to allow them to appeal. He sits in that position, so I won't speak on whether I think that was wise or not, but he certainly allowed them to do that. We'll wait and see. Because it is not a direct appeal, which is why this is important, it is not necessary that the Court of Appeals will even take it. A lot of certificates for immediate review, the Court of Appeals will decide, we're not going to take this, there's nothing novel about this. And so the first step is really to wait to see if the Court of Appeals will even hear the issue at all. And so that's the stance that we're in. But the great news is that doesn't slow anything down, because while that's going on, all those motions I discussed, they'll still be being heard, they'll still be being resolved, we'll still be working.
And we'll be covering it.
Last question. How would you like the media and the public to handle all of these cases going, not all of these cases, but this case going forward? What would you like the attention to be on now, moving forward?
I've always wanted the attention to be on the same thing. First of all, not necessarily on this case, but on the great work of my office. It gets lost. My office has a 95% conviction rate, 95%, and I don't fudge the numbers. That's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears of a lot of dedicated professionals, both law enforcement officers as well as attorneys. That's been a lot of sexual predators that'll never see the light of day. That's a lot of murderers that will never see the light of day. But we're also doing amazing programming in the school where we're touching children and making sure that they're not in gangs.
Oh, she's touching children with Joe Biden. Okay, so that's enough of Fani. So we're familiar with what she's saying, right? The train is coming, and she has no remorse. In fact, she is the face of women and the face of feminism, especially African-American feminism or whatever. So that is her explanation. And you can see a lot of bravado there, a lot of arrogance. Some might say clinical narcissism, but she is also explaining less about what's happening in this interview, just a little bit more Fani, and then we'll see what else we have.
So I'm sorry that you came to ask that. Today we are here to celebrate the community. I'm here with Jason Cade of We All Value Excellence. This is an event we do and have been doing for the last 5 years to make sure that the children celebrate Easter, that they know the importance of the season, and that we are here as a district attorney's office to support them. I'm not here to discuss any particular case.
Nothing?
Yeah, we're here to celebrate the community today, so something will...
You hear the reporter? Nothing? What? Come on. That's why we're here. You know that.
Big.
Okay, this is real big. I would agree. Anything for the kids is really big. Gotta ask you though, when do you intend to bring the election interference case to trial?
Again, we are here today to celebrate the children.
We don't care.
We will continue to move forward with that case as we move forward with every case, and so we intend to do it just as quickly as legally possible.
The defense team has made clear their intentions to appeal Judge McAfee's ruling that allowed you to remain on the case. How will you respond to their appeal?
Legally in a courtroom.
Anything you want to add here about anything at all?
Today we are here to celebrate children.
All right, and I hate Nathan Wade's children because his daughter continues to steal my makeup. And I want it back. All right. So anyways, that's Fani Willis. Now, that is what she said, right? Not a lot of mea culpa. She's doing a great job. Everybody should know more about her amazing DA's office. Definitely not filled with a bunch of corrupt narcissists who lie in court. Definitely doing good work there, touching children. So here's Harrison Floyd. Of course, Harrison Floyd is a co-defendant in this case who has been a little quiet lately. And some of that has been, I think, because they have really been putting pressure on him to be quiet. Remember, there was a bond revocation hearing that Fani tried to go out there and deliver a home run on, and she failed pretty epically. It was hysterical. Not for Harrison Floyd, who had to face the possibility of being thrown back into custody. And that was the one that Jenna Ellis sent in a whiny letter saying, I feel like I'm under attack, put him back in jail. Right, that was that one. So this is Harrison Floyd. He said, Georgia lied about the 2020 election. He just posted this very recently. Said, that is why I am the only one who is being held a little bit differently here. Says, I am the only one who was not offered a pre-negotiated bond. I was the only one who was jailed. True. I was the only one denied a bond and a lawyer. True. Only one that the DA attempted to revoke the bond. We covered that hearing. And also not notified about any bond modifications, and saying this is why. And he just posted this from a prior motions hearing back in January. And you're going to hear Judge McAfee, who brings shame to the bench, explaining and having a conversation with the state where they're admitting that there were 0 signatures that were ever captured and made part of discovery.
I'm looking at Mr. Floyd's team.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Your Honor, the Blue Crest sorting and signature verification machine would take the ballot envelope and scan it and create an image of it. Image appears on screen with a signature exemplar, and the two are compared that way.
Okay.
So my understanding is now the Blue Crest sorting and signature verification machine was not working, or
No, we didn't use it.
They did not use that.
not use it.
So for the item you're requesting to obtain for the scans of all the outer envelopes, they would have to rescan those again, is what we're hearing.
Well, it sounds like they were never scanned to begin with, and so I don't know, unless
So
they were scanned, I want the scanned version
Right.
that they had on that day.
So are there any documents in the county's possession of these items having already been scanned?
Not that I'm aware of, but I can check at headquarters and see if they do have it.
Okay, so the difference here is not so much that there's a total new rescanning, it's what was scanned and is still in your possession from that date.
Well,
Are we making the distinction here?
Nothing was scanned, Your Honor.
Okay.
Nothing.
So we're absolutely clear. We're talking about the outer return envelopes in November 2020. Okay. So
nothing was scanned. Nothing was scanned, right? So that's interesting. And that looks like it was from a prior motions hearing. And so Harrison Floyd is now bringing that back up. So make sure you're following him too. David Schaefer is also on X. And so co-defendants are out here talking about this case. And I'd encourage you to follow them so you can see what they're up to and what they're doing. In fact, here is Floyd's post back on my timeline if you want to check that out. So that is Harrison Floyd. And Ashleigh Merchant was also out. She's been making the rounds. She was on with Megyn Kelly. She was on, I think, talking with some other attorneys who have been covering this story. And she also showed up on ABC and was asked about some of these next steps. And here is what that conversation sounded like with Miss Merchant. You remember her, the person who is representing Michael Roman, the co-defendant who started this whole saga in the first place.
That's what we're actually doing now. So we're preparing our appeal. He gave us permission, but in Georgia, we have to get also the permission of the Court of Appeals. So that's the next step. So we've got 10 days to ask the Court of Appeals to grant that same permission. If they do, then the case will go to the Court of Appeals. If they don't, we will ask the Supreme Court also to grant it.
I want to come back to that sequence, but first, you said in your statement after Judge McAfee's ruling that denied this motion, Fani Willis is not disqualified, that you nevertheless feel vindicated by Judge McAfee's order. Why?
There was a lot of tension filing this motion. It was difficult, and I was called a lot of different things, a liar, different motivations in filing it, everything other than just doing my job. And I knew I was just doing my job. So I was very happy that Judge McAfee saw the things that I saw the indecent ways that certain folks responded, and just the obstruction. Everyone was trying to obstruct us from getting evidence. They filed a ton of motions to quash subpoenas, called me a liar repeatedly, tried to not even get this motion heard. So I felt very vindicated with his statements that this was something more than just lies or had any improper motives, anything like that.
So, Ashleigh, I have to ask you described the process here. You've got the Judge McAfee's permission to take appeal, and at this point, you've got your campaign.
And I've heard that a lot. I've heard that as a criticism, but the best way to avoid delay would be for Ms. Willis to step aside. She could have stepped aside originally. She could still step aside. If she chose to do that, there would be no delay because we wouldn't be able to appeal. So she could choose to step aside and this case could move forward. But, just because something might delay a case doesn't mean that I can avoid taking a legal path that I think helps my client and I think is the fair result. We just want a due process trial here. We just want a fair trial. And this is the only way that we can preserve his right to a fair trial is by continuing to fight this disqualification issue.
So that's Ashleigh Merchant. And, the meme right now is that Donald Trump is asking for delays in all of his cases because he wants to push things out past the election. And the actual response is that all of these trials were organized, coordinated to be dropped in order to put them right in the middle of an election year. And they had years to investigate these claims. And then they filed them at the very end of 2023, knowing that the trials would line up right with the election season. So they were political attacks, literally. They could have brought them years ago. Even in the Alvin Bragg case, could have brought that one many years ago. And many other prosecutors have already declined to do that. So the idea that Trump is delaying this by simply asking for some due process and for time, to read the evidence so that he can actually review the discovery, 11 million pages, is insanity. And they said Trump has, 9 months to get through all of the discovery that it took them and teams of lawyers years to cobble up. He can have like 9 months. Not fair at all. So Fani, of course, is delusional. And the delusion, I don't think, is going anywhere. I think that she is not stepping aside anytime soon. The case may be dragging itself out because of these appeals. We'll see what the Court of Appeals does in New York, whether they grant the certificate of immediate review to the Trump defense and the other co-defendants. But Fani Willis is going to be around here in the meantime, and we've got a hearing on the motion scheduled this Thursday. So be sure you're subscribed wherever it is you're watching this, my friends. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for inviting someone you know or love to come over here. Check out our channel. Join us on a live stream because we got all the Trump trials here that we're attending to between now and the election and then some. And we'd love to see them here joining us so they can see what is actually happening. We got some great links down in the description below. Watchingthewatchers.locals.com is our members only community where we do live streams in the morning. Already did one today. And we do shows on Saturday and after parties after our live streams are over. We have an amazing community. We'd love to have you join us. Watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Thanks for being here, my friends. And we'll see you back here on the next one. All right, my friends. Well, that is it for us on the day. We covered some good ground. The Fani Willis saga continues, and she is as crazy as we thought. We've also got Tish losing big time, down $289 million in her bond demand, now reduced down to a cool $175. I'll give you $175 for it. Take it or leave it. Get out of here. Trump says, we'll go ahead and take it. Trump prosecutions are backfiring. Alvin Bragg's trial has been scheduled for April 15th. Of course, that's 3 weeks from now. So we're going to be starting that one off with jury selection. And thank you for joining us on that one as we do. But with all that stuff out of the way, and with our friend Inner City Press having helped us deliver some amazing reporting today, it's time to hear from you. Let's see what you have to say about this. Of course, we are going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com as soon as we say hello and thank you to you, my friends. And in the house, starting us off on this beautiful Monday, is James. James is our newest supporter over on YouTube. Welcome aboard, James. Very excellent to see you today. Welcome. Roxana Man in the house. Good to see you, Roxana, another supporter. And upgraded that supporter membership. Good to see you, Roxana. Very great to have you. Thank you for becoming a member. 66 Anton is over on Locals as a Diamond supporter. Good to see you, 66. That means a full year over there. Says, shine that spotlight, Rob. Thanks for bringing hope in these hopeless times. Well, look, 66 Anton, man. I got to thank you for doing the same thing here. You know, this thing that we do here together is very symbiotic. You know, the little secret is I get a lot of energy and hope from you. It's true. Roger Needham. What's up, Roger? Good to see you, Roger. Bringing in Harleen R. as our newest membo. Thank you, Roger, for being a membo and bringing in new membos. Penny Whitbrod is here. Says, Rob, can you explain how a judge can disregard the appellate court ruling on the statute of limitations? What is Trump's recourse? Doesn't that make it very likely the case would be overturned on appeal? Yeah, you're right, Penny. It doesn't make any sense. So I think you're asking about Engeron's court. And this is the civil fraud case. And good to see you, Penny. Penny's on Rumble, by the way. Has a nice channel over there. Shout out to Penny, Nurse Penny. But in Engeron's case in New York, remember that there were different claims on different loans, essentially. Some loans were too far. They were too old. And so the judge wouldn't consider those loans as like a criminal charge. So think of them as like shoplifting charges. Okay, like think of every one of those loans as shoplifting. Trump stole money from the loan people. He didn't pay enough interest to them, whatever. Right? It's totally insane, but just think of it that way. Think of them like different crimes. So you can't charge Trump. Let's say you got 5 shoplifting crimes, but there's 2 of them that are too old. You can't charge Trump for those 2 that are too old, but you can talk about those 2 that are too old, not as separate. They can't be separate charges or crimes, or in this case, you know, charges brought by Tish, but they can be used as like evidence to think that someone is doing something in the course of conduct. It's like evidence about a propensity. So, oh, okay, so he did shoplift those other 2 times, and those other 2 times, and those other 2 times. So we can talk about those shoplifting charges as propensity to do shoplifting again. We can talk about those old loans from Trump as a propensity to do the same thing in these new loans, but we can't charge him and penalize him interest on those loans. So we're not going to disgorge those other loans. So the judge is just splitting it differently, right? And basically what is Trump's recourse? He's doing it right now. He's appealing it. And doesn't it make it very likely that the case would be overturned on appeal? I don't know. I don't know, because it's a separate issue. It's kind of like he's not including it as a charge. It's a civil case. So, propensity evidence is very frowned upon in criminal law. Like you couldn't do that in a shoplifting case and say shoplifting, that would not be allowed in a shoplifting case, right? That's propensity evidence, which we don't allow. But in a civil case, maybe the judge has a basis for it. I don't know. But ultimately, the Court of Appeals will weigh in on that. And we'll see if it's material. Did the prior charges ultimately impact the conclusions on the new case? Like, is he attributing any new penalty, increasing those based on the old cases? We'll see. Great question, Penny. Good to see you. Hey, it's the Munkets in the house. Good to see you, Tony. Hey, Munkets, bringing in 10 new membos. Thank you, Tony, for bringing them in. Samantha R's coming in. Terry B. We got M. Maury's coming in. Mima's in the house. Welcome, Mima. Nutter Brother, Just Cause, Bumstead, Jeffrey J. True Seeker, and Laura all coming in, courtesy of Tony Hey Munkets, and 5 more from Tony. Ann Shaw, Microponics, Tree Climber, Elong, and Frezio. All here, courtesy of Tony Hey, it's the Munkets. We got Mexican Marauder says, there is no way that Biden and the DOJ didn't plan this. Every case has relied on the last 8 years of legwork done by the Democrats. And now, in every case, they give the prosecutors their cases wrapped in a bow. I think you're right about that, Mexican Marauder. And I'm actually working on some slides to help visualize all of this, because I understand there's a lot of complexities here. And I agree. I think there's probably like a master control center on a lot of this. That's probably someone closely related to Obama. But remember, Time Magazine after 2020 came back out and they did like the OJ thing, like how I did it, if I did it kind of a thing. And they're like, yeah, we rigged it. And it was the former guy from the labor union. I forget his name. But yeah, there's a bunch of people, and I think it's all been orchestrated. That's why all 4 criminal cases got filed simultaneously. That's why they picked different jurisdictions. You know, you'll notice that they're kind of in important states, like Georgia, for example, is a big one, right? So Trump can just be hit every day with, you know, Trump's a criminal, 91, 91, 91 all day in Georgia. They need that to flip. So, and there's evidence of this, okay? Nathan Wade met with White House counsel. Fani Willis met with the VP. Jack Smith was appointed by Merrick Garland, who got castigated by Joe Biden. New York Times reported at that one. So, you know, the list goes on and on. It's not like these are not people focused on justice. They're focused on going after their opponents. What's going on? We got Sandy says, I think Bragg is a weak link for the left. I think he's a reluctant participant. I think if these rogue judges and prosecutors believe Trump is going to win and they will in return be prosecuted for crimes, quote, under the color of law, Bragg will fold. He'll admit it. He'll explain everything. I agree. I think Bragg, he has been the least vocal. We don't hear from him at all. And we've also covered stories where I thought he was part of the declination of an earlier prosecution, which came through their office, and he got like reamed for that. You know, we covered that actually, now that I think about that. He was going to prosecute, then decided not to, and then he got reamed in the media, and then he brought it back. It's happened multiple times. What's up from this one is from Gypsy Muse. Says Fulton County Superior Court has scheduled a hearing on March 28th for 1 motion filed by Trump and for 2 motions filed by Schaefer. Exactly. Yeah, we'll be here covering that one. This old guy from Local says, has anyone asked the basic question, which is, what the heck is a city attorney doing prancing around in a federal election case that the feds have already agreed happened in 2016 before the election and is not anything he as a puny city attorney has any authority over? What an absolute waste of everyone's time. Yeah, unless it's a political attack, then it's very useful. Then it's like maximum ROI. Very good. It's a state-funded attack. Don't have to pay for it. The taxpayers pay for this stuff. How much has Alvin Bragg and the city of New York paid? How much money has been invested into that? Trump has to come out of pocket at least 1-to-1, probably 3-to-1 to respond to the charges because he has no power. They have all the power. So, yeah, it's very, very useful. Hey, this one from Sandy says, sorry, left the pickoff of my post of the judge saying the purpose. The purpose of this hearing was to determine who's to blame. Yes. Good to see you, Sandy. Thanks for that. This one from Roger says, the odor of mendacity from Stinky Fanny wafts all over the courthouses from all the courthouses engaged in this lawfare. Yeah, it's a disgusting, stinky odor of noxious gas emanating from Fulton County. Roy MC says, I can't believe a judge partway through a hearing can call a 45-minute break and return immediately to give a ruling. Who is he speaking to for 45 minutes? I don't know. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I don't know. Got a phone call from someone. All right, here's what you're going to do. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Guy's beeper went off. Oh, okay. Hey, this is Obama. We got this one from Cooley. Welcome, Cooley, our newest supporter over on the YouTubes. Welcome. We'll see you on our members-only streams. Truth in Action says, when Trump does get his money back, does he have to pay? Do they have to pay back with interest in this high interest environment? No, that money is in their account. He'll get it back, you know, even Stevens. They're not paying him a market rate. Karen D, what's up, Karen? Welcome as our newest supporter over on the YouTubes. Chubby's on Local says, Judge Areola and the Tush might have had a chance with Trump's appeal, but I'm pretty sure Areola, outright defying and ignoring the appeals court prior decisions, shot them in the foot as far as the appeals court and continuing the New York court's biased judgments. Yeah, well, it's a good point. We'll see. Courts don't like it when you just, flagrantly disregard their rulings. Sandy says, inner city press is great. No bias at all. And other people do things differently. Good to see you, Sandy. Melanie says, I've always supported Trump, but I was covert from 2016 to 2021. Since 2021, I'm loud and proud Trump lover, baby. My support keeps getting stronger the more I learn. I'm wide awake now. Hashtag Trump 2024. Good, Melanie. It's great to have you. Yeah. Good. And I think, I think that trend is accurate, right? There were a lot of like closet Trump supporters in 2016. I remember that. People are like, I kind of like what he's saying here. It's like, oh gosh, can you say that? But now it's like, yeah, put the hat on and do cartwheels outside, so everyone can see it. Good to see you, Melanie. Thanks for being a membo. We got B-Man says, I think that Snell guy was stomping his feet when the appellate decision came. He was very upset. Very upset. I'm just outraged by this. Okay. This old guy says the new echo phrase for the media is travesty of justice. We saw that from two of them, right? From the MSNBC guy and from Lawrence Tribe. So someone sent out the group text message and they all started using it. What's up, Ella? Ella, membo for 1 month. First month's the hardest. Gets easier from there. Says, nope. Fani, you don't represent me. So gross. Shout out to Ella. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's like disgusting. What are you are accused of egregious misconduct. The judge wrote in his opinion that there is an odor of mendacity, meaning you stink like a liar, Fani. You're happy about that? Stinky liar Fani's happy about it. All right. And she's a role model for all women. Knox is here, a defense attorney in Texas, says, happy Monday, all. Okay, so Fani will do the coat drive, the egg roll, etc. But will she do any actual work? Also, I love that a fellow white girl, Pantene, fixes her wig. I don't know. Is it a wig? I don't know. Wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't probably. Knox is here. According to the lead lawyer, says, what is this? All right, from Knox. I don't know if he said that. I don't know what the heck. I don't know if that's true or not. It's a funny quote. Oh gosh, hysterical. Thank you, Knox. Gosh. All right, I got to meet the lead attorney first, the lead lawyer, okay, before I start quoting him. Too funny. I do like the party music, says Knox. I do like the party music. Party on, Knox. Good to have you. Hilarious. We got Ruby Diamond says, can you explain bond in New York? If Trump posts cash, does he get it all back when he wins? If bond, do they keep 10% regardless whether he wins and loses? Thanks. Yeah, so like you'll pay a bonding fee for sure. And I don't know how it exactly works in New York because I'm not licensed there and I've never practiced law in New York. But yeah, the general rules are, right, bond secures your right to appeal. So you bond and it allows the appeal to sort of continue on, knowing that the underlying judgment will be secured. So if you win, you get all the money back. If you lose, the court just keeps it and they just apply it to the judgment. But yeah, if you use a bonding company, yeah, they're gonna charge a bonding fee. And I don't know if there's any special rules in New York for what the percentages are or anything like that. But yeah, the analogy that I use that I think resonates with most people is like a criminal. Like a traffic ticket, right? This is a civil case, just like a traffic ticket is. In a traffic ticket case, what's the difference between a judgment and a monetary posting and all this stuff? So in a traffic ticket, you want to appeal so that the points don't go on your license, right? Okay, so you go to court, you lose. You now want to appeal that. If you want the points to go on your license, then you could, I guess theoretically, not post a bond, and the court could apply it while your appeal is pending. But if you want to stay all of that, like stay the imposition of the penalties, you post the money, the points don't go on your license, your bond is secured. If you lose immediately, the court takes the fine, right? And they execute the judgment, which is the penalty, sending the points over to your license. Similar, type of mechanisms would apply in Trump's case, right? The bond would go, again, whatever the bond, like if the Court of Appeals comes back and says that the final judgment is 175 million, if he loses, yeah, that's going into whatever that fund is that it was supposed to go to. Yeah, and he's paying fees and all that right on top of that. So yeah, but he doesn't want the judgment to be executed, right? All of those it's not just about the money, right? All of those other subcomponents are also now being stayed, which is kind of like the points that would go onto your license. Okay. Super long explanation, but hopefully that helped. David York in the house. What's up, David? Bringing in Becca G, Brian C, Purple AJ, 24/7 Live, AZ Skies, and Kat all got gifted membos courtesy of David. David Y. Thank you, David. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us, for being a membo, and for bringing in new membos. Kathleen is here, says, welcome to the supporter. Oh, no, that's not your message. You are a supporter. Welcome aboard, Kathleen. Great to have you. Geg is here. Geg says, as a follow-up to Penny's question, is the goal with all these cases to convict and demonetize Trump before the election, whether or not the cases are overturned later on appeal? They seem willfully flagrant in their willingness to be overturned, or perhaps they are such power-mad cultists that they have lost the capacity for such second-order thinking. Yeah, so I think so. Yes, I absolutely think so. So it's all about the election. Everybody cares about the headline story, not about the follow-up, right? So like, you know, Bill Cosby is like, remember, like, so everybody like knew that like Bill Cosby was a alleged, you know, abuser, right? But not many people know that he was released because his appeal was successful. Right? So like everybody knows the joke about Bill Cosby, but then also he was released because his appeal was overturned. And a lot less people know about that. So it always is, you know, a pattern like that. And I think that's part of the attack vector. They want to say for the election that he's a convicted felon. They'd love to say that. They can't say that yet. And I thought one of the other original attack vectors was to say that he was convicted of a felony, especially on the J6 case. That way they could say that that some test had been met so that would trigger the insurrection clause and that would preclude him from being on the ballot. I thought that they might try to use a criminal conviction for that, but it sounds like now only congressional legislation can do that, which is why I'm concerned that the Congress, did you hear Nancy Pelosi said that Congress is going to go back to Hakeem Jeffries very soon. I have that clip. We'll talk about it probably tomorrow for our membos, but it is, yeah. I think that's part of the attack. And every dollar that they spend, Trump has to respond with 2 or 3. Okay. Cause their lawyers are free. Jack Smith, how much has his budget been? 60 million? I don't know. So Trump has to come out with at least that to hire his defense. And a lot more than that, right? Because private attorneys who work on national renowned cases for the former president are a lot more expensive than Jack Smith. So yeah, I think it's a multi-prong attack. It's a court of public opinion attack, a court of law attack. It's a financial attack. It's a time attack. Like literally it's just a time, opportunity cost attack. There's a lot. Fred is here. Fred Petamonte says, the fact that zero rep AGs, DAs are doing anything is disappointing. So no Republicans are indicting any Democrats. It's all the other way around. Truth in Action says, if Trump inflated prices, which I don't believe he did, then he paid taxes on inflated prices, then he should get back all those taxes from Truth in Action. That's a good start. He should get a lot back, right? Good to see you, Truth. Thanks for being here. Newt says, what's up, Newt Gadget? Says, thanks for the great show, Rob. We appreciate you breaking things down into plain language that we can all understand. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Newt. What a nice comment. Thanks for being a membo, and thanks for saying that on this beautiful Monday. Grateful to have you. And Jennifer, another nice comment, says, thank you for another great show, Rob. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for being here. I think it's going to be a busy week, my friends, and we're excited to get into it. Kathleen, thank you, Kathleen. First super chat on the live stream, Kathleen. Thank you for that. Very kind of you. No message, but I appreciate it. J-Man says, Rob, you should check out OKC Daniel Holtzlaw case. I think you'd be very intrigued. The Dems already did what they did, Trump prosecution style, to someone else. Thank you for the suggestion there, J-Man. OKC, Oklahoma, Daniel Holtzlaw. All right. Thank you, J-Man. Thanks for the support, my friend. I'll take a look. Gag says Bragg has other problems as well, such as New York's crime spree and being photographed with a guy he released early who, later chopped off someone's head, that kind of problem. Little bit of a problem over there for Bragg. Dolphin fan is the man, bringing in new membos. Who's coming in courtesy of Dolphin? We got Gitmo Holiday. I'm sure it's nice down there. I'm sure it's nice. Have you tried the crab? Jenny D is coming in. Don't mind me, who's a mod, also got a membo. Robert C. and Lil Paws in the house, courtesy of Dolphin fan is the man in the house. We got F the Magician says, I was recently rewatching a presentation of duplicate balloting from 2020 Georgia election. Fani's name is prominent on one of the ballots shown, wondering if it might give Fani extra reason to stop Trump. I've seen some of those analyses, like people comparing signatures and matching spreadsheets and stuff like that. Not exactly sure what I'm looking at, but, you know, Fani, I think, is just following orders, probably from the White House, and has been digging into it for orchestrated reasons. Sean Terrell says, Rob, are you covering the George Allen Kelly trial? We're trying to, Sean. We're trying our best. I know some people want to see it. There's only so much time in the day, and I'm trying to see how I can squeeze it in other words. I'm trying to figure it out. We got this one from Kathleen, says, just joined tonight. Thank you, Kathleen. Love the channel. Can I get a shout out for Rocket, my puppy, who looks just like this emoji? Yeah, we can see Kathleen. We can see Rocket right there. It's a little bit pixelated, but we can definitely get a hint of Rocket. Shout out to Puppy Rocket and Kathleen in the Kathleen household. Very handsome young fella there. And it's good to have you, Kathleen. Thanks for becoming a member and for supporting us on the day. We'll see you tomorrow and our members only morning stream. Milo Phone Bill says, will President Trump's $175 million be held in an escrow account? Is that held with the bank? What happens if there's a bank collapse? All good questions. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be held in, some account, some escrow account, probably with the courts, or the court will have title to it. I don't know how they're going to do it. That's a big one. Yeah, I don't know how exactly they're going to do it. But yeah, if the banks, I mean, I think it's got to be like USD cash, right? Not like, stock. So we'll see. Pinecone, what's up, Pinecone? Bringing in Nunya Bitness is gifted a new membo. Great to have you, Nunya Bitness, and thank you, Pinecone, for bringing them in. Roy MC says, there's more and more talk of some Republicans turning the House over to the Dems solely to pass legislation to remove Trump. Yeah, we did a whole segment on Friday about that, Roy. I think it's probably time to hit the panic button on that. And the thing that I think triggered that was Gallagher's deliberate and intentional resignation date. So it's literally like stabbing his constituents right in the back. Why is he doing that? I think we know. Former LEO says, can former POTUS Trump write off his defense against his earnings as a cost of doing business? That's a great question, former. I would consult with a tax advisor on that one. Pablo Concepcion is bringing in Suzanne B in the house. Good to see you, Pablo. And nice to have you aboard, Suzanne B. Welcome aboard. Thank you, Pablo, for bringing her in. The Rubos are here. Shout out to the Rubos. Yeah, apparently, Puff Diddy. Apparently his homes were raided and he fled the country. Did he leave the country? I saw the homes were raided. I saw that was just breaking as I was sitting down. I don't know what's going on over there, but the DOJ, I don't know what they're doing. Are they involved in that? They launched multiple raids, right? The DOJ. This wasn't state stuff. Okay, let's see who is joining us over on the X platform. Anybody watching us over there? Here's one from DM Jackson. Hey, there's Tish in the courtroom. Don't know if she had her shoes on or not. Probably not. You can see this woman is looking down here. She's like, what is that disgusting smell coming from? This woman right here. She's like, see her face? That's that sniff face. What is that? That's Tish's feet again. I knew it. And yeah, that's her right there in court. All right. So Fred Pedamonte's over there says, yeah, the lead attorney did say that. Well, shout out to the lead attorney. It's a good observation. What's up, Silicon Valley reject? Alfred Newman says, Rob, I love the spectacle of liberals wailing and gnashing their teeth. It's truly satisfying. Russ says, like all bullies, they fail to see how evil they are while believing themselves to be so righteous. Exactly right about that. Good comment. And Silicon Valley reject, we got something there, interesting one. We got, what's up, Russ? We got Kirby Girl says, this is a win. B Torn's over there. Good to see you, B Torn. Couple of posts. All right, my friends from Silicon. Those are our friends over on the X platform. You can follow us over there if you want to follow along on X. Follow some other watchers out there, all in the wilderness across the interwebs. But that, my friends, is going to be it for us on the day. We are going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com for our members only after party. We'd love to see you join us. We do streams in the morning. I already did one this morning. We do streams on Saturday, and we have an amazing community. So come check us out. We also have robertgovea.com. We got a daily newsletter over there. Sign up for that newsletter. Get the show delivered to your inbox. Watcherlodge.com. Check out the Living with Meaning and Purpose Masterclass. We could all use a little bit more meaning and a little bit more purpose. And it's taught by Mama G, my mama. So check that one out. Also, we just started the shopping thing on YouTube. This is a brand new Travis Matthews shirt from Nordstrom. I think it has an S on it. And it is linked, should be linked on YouTube, wherever it is you're watching it. So if you want to grab a shirt, and it's not just for the dudes out there who want some polos, anybody who wants to, grab something from Nordstrom's, apparently we get some benefits on the channel. So thanks for checking that out. Links are down in the description and on the tabs below. And treat yourself to something nice. You need to get a new shirt or two. I always have to remind myself after about 4 years of the same clothes. I'm like, oh yeah, probably should get some new stuff. Okay. Anyways, so come on over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Before we wrap it up, want to say thanks to our mods and meme smiths out there. Is it a full moon tonight or soon? All right. Vianticus Prime is here. K Bean in the house. Just Cause, playing hooky. Ronnie Cole, our friend Zulu. Beyond Geo, Zach Nichols, John Allen, Janek, Dog Digger, and Donut Mind Me, all modding down the fort for us, keeping things nice and orderly. Grateful for you. Thank you for your amazing help. And Sleepy Dog Lee, Nathan N810, and Geegum Geegum, meme smithin', the community and the chat. And we're grateful for them as well. And so that, my friends, is it for us on the day. It's a beautiful Monday. I hope you had an amazing weekend, and I hope you're feeling pretty good and ready to go, because it's going to be a pretty full week ahead. I can feel it in my bones. And we're going to be back here tomorrow to get into it all again. And we need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.